Now, I have been saying this quite a bit now, but Genesis is the luxury brand to be watching these days, and the hits just keep on coming. We've talked about this quite a bit. The Koreans are doing what pretty much nobody else will do, which is taking some risks, but offering vehicles that consumers actually want and are doing things a little differently. Now, you can argue that the Genesis vehicles more or less kind of all look the same, which is fine. The luxury market has been dominated by essentially Xerox design language for decades now. But this vehicle is new for 2021. This, my friends, is a 2021 Genesis G80 3.5 Turbo Prestige all-wheel drive. Now, the first question you're going to be asking is, should you wait for 2022? I would say no, but it depends on what you're looking for out of your G80, because really the only major change coming is this engine will no longer be available on the Prestige. You have to go with the new G80 Sport. Now, that vehicle isn't technically new. Genesis has offered a G80 Sport for a number of years now. They skipped this model year. Now it's coming for 2022. So from what I've been able to decipher on the internet, going through all the rumor blogs and actual information from Genesis, is this engine only comes now on the Sport. So you would have to do that if you're going for 2022. So if you're looking at this fully loaded, top-end, luxury-oriented trim, 2021 is probably going to be the year to buy. This thing comes fully loaded for the G80 here in Canada. We only get 2 trims. In the States, you have a couple extra options depending on what you want out of your mid-size luxury sedan. But this is pretty much the sedan version of the GV80, specifically the GV80 3.5 Prestige that we featured. Pretty much all the features are on this that we saw on the SUV. Obviously, you don't get a third row on this, and the back seat space a little bit more luxurious for those who are being driven around. For example, you have a center armrest console with some controls back there, plus a rear window sunshade, which nobody puts on an SUV anyway. But why would you be considering the Genesis G80? Well, if you're looking at Genesis, this is going to be $9,000 less than the GV80 that we featured. So you're saving quite a bit of change, at least here in Canada, if you're going with the sedan. Now, I personally prefer driving sedans, so this is probably the one that I would get anyway. But you're essentially getting what made the GV80 so good in a slightly more traditional luxury form factor. This is going to be competing with things like the BMW 5 Series, Mercedes E-Class, and I'm telling you, it does a really good job. We've driven both. We recently drove the Mercedes E-Class. Yeah, it was a cabriolet, but still gave you a good idea of what the latest version was. And I have to say, Genesis has definitely nailed it with this vehicle. Now, the 3.5-liter twin-turbo V6 produces pretty good numbers, 375 horsepower, 391 pound-feet of torque, with an 8-speed automatic transmission, and ours comes all-wheel drive. It's the only way you can get it here in Canada. In the US, you can have rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. Now, there's a long list of features on this vehicle. There's a lot of reasons why you would want to consider it, but for $76,000 Canadian, you're getting a lot of car for not a whole lot of money. You have pretty much, as I mentioned, everything that comes with the GV80, including full LED exterior lighting, soft closed doors, the electronic control suspension with road preview, giving you a much smoother ride as you're driving along, can kind of predict some bad imperfections in the road ahead of you. The 14.5-inch infotainment system, the 12.3-inch 3D digital gauge cluster, 21-speaker Lexicon audio system. This one has the 16-way ergonomic driver seat. Feels fantastic. We have the remote start and the remote parking, along with the ventilated front and outboard rear heated seats, heated steering wheel, rear power sunshades, manual rear side sunshades, and the very tinted panoramic sunroof. So a lot of tech going on here, all the safety stuff that you would expect to find. You have the new smart cruise control with the navigation-based software on it. You have lane keep assist, lane departure, rear cross traffic alert, parking sensors, a fantastic 360-degree camera. I mean, there isn't anything missing on this that you truly need at this price point. I suppose if you wanted to nitpick, you could add night vision to this. That's about it. This comes very well equipped, and if you think back, okay, this is not the performance version of anything, but if you think back to the BMW M550i that we did a little while ago, that thing was very expensive. You're getting a lot of car, not necessarily a sporty car, but a lot of car for a whole lot less. But that's about it for me on the outside here. I want to take this on the road. I want to talk about why you would want to consider this G80 over the SUV Genesis, and also why you'd consider this over the traditional German sedans that are available, like the BMW 5 Series and Mercedes E-Class. All right, my friends, we're behind the wheel of the 2021 G80 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. I like this car quite a bit. Let's talk about the fuel economy numbers first. We completed our 100 kilometer test loop in eco mode. We always try to go for the most efficient that we can. Completed it in 8.5 liters per 100 kilometers. The US miles per gallon are below. Now, how does that compare to the GV80, the SUV we just featured it a few weeks ago, that completed our 100 kilometer test loop in 9.3 liters per 100 kilometers. So obviously it makes sense. This is more aerodynamic, it's smaller, it's lighter, it's more streamlined, it's going to be more fuel efficient. Same engine, same tech, but it's a car. So there you go, you're getting better fuel economy on this. Makes sense. You're saving $9,000 Canadian on the price of this compared to the GV80. So there's a lot of reasons why you would want to go for the sedan. Personally, I like the way that this looks. I like the way that this drives. I like cars. So this would probably be the one that I would take. But the thing is, like, listen, okay, I don't have $75,000 to buy one of these things, but if I really had that kind of money, if I was in the market for this and I could buy that and I had enough money to get the SUV, it's a tough choice. I think it would ultimately come down to how much money I ultimately had, and if I could just kind of throw that $9,000 down to get a third row of seats, because it was functional. I like the space on it, because it's so weird. The mid-size luxury segment, you know, this car, the BMW 5 Series Mercedes E-Class, I find that getting in and out, for me, it's just not as convenient as the smaller cars and obviously the bigger cars. Something about this size segment that's just kind of weird. So I do feel I sit a little too high up. I'm almost touching the headliner here in the car, and yeah, there's not much wiggle room there for me. And yeah, sitting position is good overall. I mean, I'm not uncomfortable in it. The amenities on here are great. You know, I've got heated and ventilated front seats. I've got a massaging driver's seat, which is nice. 2 memory options. There's none on the passenger side. I think that could have been something Genesis could have offered on this. Have passenger seat memory. It's a nice luxury feature to have, but essentially have everything else that we got on the GV80 plus the rear sunshade. You can see it. I can open it up, open it down, all those fun things. It does it automatically when you put the car in reverse. Unlike the Cadillac CT6 that we featured a few years ago that I said once you put the car in park, the sunshade stays down. This thing will go immediately back up when you put it into park, which is nice. And if you turn off the engine before it's fully come up, it'll still go up. So nice small little detail there to make the experience on the G80 very nice. Interior road noise non-existent. You barely hear anything. If you turn off the fake engine sounds, you're gonna hear absolutely nothing. I like to keep it on just to pretend like I'm driving something a little sportier. But I keep this in comfort mode, which is super comfortable if you need to pass people or get on the highway quickly. Sport mode will do the trick. It bolsters up the driver's seat a little bit too, which is always nice. So you've got the performance there should you need it, but you know, overall the vehicle performs very well. This is what you want out of a luxury sedan and not a sport-oriented one. It's going to be interesting to see what Genesis does differently with the new Sport trim, since it's going to be the only way to get this engine. So I think, personally, I think it's the wrong way to go. Okay, with the previous one at least, I'm pretty sure that the design was slightly different when you went with the G80 Sport. So if they're going to be doing the same thing now, which I know the photos are out, it's kind of hard to tell the difference between them, but if that's really going to be the difference, you know, kind of a sportier appearance, maybe the seats are going to be slightly different, you know, that's going to be unfortunate, because I think this is the engine to go with. As I mentioned outside here in Canada, there's only 2 options, right? We've got this one and the 2.5 liter, and there's only 2 trims. You go with the Advanced, you get the 2.5. You go with the Prestige here like we have, and you're getting the 3.5 liter. So you don't have tons of choice up here, but that makes sense. It is a smaller size segment here. Right? We don't sell quite as many luxury cars in Canada as they do in the States. I mean, we don't sell as many cars here in general because we have such a small population compared to the US. We're about 10% of the total population down there. So it makes sense for Genesis to be a little bit more conservative when it comes to the trims. The thing is, I don't know how many of these they're going to sell, because the GV80 is so compelling. I see so many of them now. At first, when those vehicles came out, I was like, wow, there's one, it's so cool. And now it's almost to the point that every time I go out, I'm seeing GV80s on the road, and I'm seeing a lot of GV70s as well. So it makes sense. Genesis needed to get some SUVs on the fleet, get things going with it so that they had some choice. And I think those are going to be the ultimate popular choices for people who want to go with a Genesis. But for me, I'm still thinking I'd lean towards this just because I like it. I like the look of it. I like the functionality of a sedan just because, you know, I don't know. I guess I'm different. I don't like to conform as much. So that's the way that I would go. But yeah, everything that made the GV80 great is great about this. There are no negatives about this compared to the GV80. You know, again, Genesis has done a fantastic job on this. I don't really have anything that I would say that they could improve on because everything works so well. The interior finishes are great. I mean, even the small designs, like the piece of open pore wood here in the center that runs along the length of the, you know, dashboard here, it kind of curves up a little bit where the vents are, and that's where your hazard button is. And it's just such a small detail that's just really nice. You've got the wood everywhere, and I just like it. It's elegant, and it's kind of what you want out of a luxury vehicle on the more luxury side of things, right? This isn't a sporty experience. This isn't going to be like a, you know, mid-performance BMW M550i, Mercedes E53, and it's not super performance oriented, but you know what I mean, right? Like, it's not like one of those. This is more for the type of buyer, I think, who's going to be looking at Lincoln as a potential for a vehicle that they want to buy. They don't really care about the sportiness or the performance. They want something that is really comfortable and has very good tech, and that's what you're getting with this. You're getting a full suite of safety tech and a good suite of normal tech as well. The infotainment system on here is beautiful. It looks great. One thing I do have to mention, I don't usually mention it, but with Hyundai, Kia, Genesis's widescreen navigation systems like this, wireless Apple CarPlay doesn't work. You have to use wired, but with this system, I don't use Apple CarPlay. I don't use Android Auto. I would prefer to use the built-in navigation system on this because it is so good that there's no point in having my phone connected and wasting, you know, a whole bunch of time with that. I just use what's built in. So everything is great about this. It's exactly what I expected. I wasn't expecting anything else because I was already impressed by the GV80, and this is pretty much the same vehicle as a sedan. Is it a negative thing? I don't know, you be the one to tell me. You know, it's always been the way in the luxury market. You basically just photocopy what you've made and make it bigger or smaller depending on what size segment you're going into. So Genesis is following that formula. It's not necessarily a bad thing on here because they don't sell a ton of these. When you see one on the road, it's an exciting day. If you have any questions about this 2021 Genesis G80, let me know. Leave a comment below. Give a thumbs up if you like this video, and consider subscribing to the channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks for watching, and until next time, take care.